Welcome everyone back to the third and final part of my Vue.js tutorial where we're going to be building a PokeDex API, a PokeDex website. From our last video, we introduced state management, we introduced routing to different pages. Now we're just going to solidify all that knowledge by finally building our one page that shows a specific Pokemon and actually have a state management system for the different list of Pokemon. Just something I want to point out right now. So if you see my window over here and we go to the network tab, every time we go to login and click back the home button, we actually hit the Pokemon API route over and over again. But we can actually eliminate that because now we're using state management. So we can store the information on the first load, and after every time we come back to that page, we can check whether it's in our state, and if it's not, then we'll send an API call out. So let's actually work on that right now. So if we go to our store over here, let's make a new store and call it Pokemon.js. And the same thing over here, there's a bunch of boilerplates, so I'm just gonna copy this for the sake of time. I'm gonna remove everything inside here and just call it use Poke over here, or use Poke, yeah. And over here I'm gonna say Pokemon list, which will be an empty array to start off with, and then our Pokemon map to have when we go to view a specific, there's more information about the Pokemon. So over here, this is an object and this is an array over here. So now let's actually make a function here. So const get all Pokemon over here, and this is a function. And then within this function, we're going to try to make the same API call we were trying to make before. But before we do that, we actually need to check our state. So let's check if the state.Pokemon list, actually let's just do if state.Pokemon list.length does not equal to 0, then inside here we're gonna fetch the API. And if not, then we're just not gonna do anything because we already fetched it. So inside here, let's go to our Pokemon table over here, and let's actually get this fetch API. It's the same exact thing that we're going to be doing, but inside over here. This needs to be, this doesn't need to be an async function because we're using promise chaining over here. So we can say now the Pokemon list over here. So we can just say state.Pokemon list is equal to this value over here, and that's all we need to do. And now it stores the results inside this Pokemon list over here. So now let's actually bring this functionality to our Pokemon table. Before we do that, we just got to remember to return all our stuff. So if you remember, we spread the 2refs, and inside that we made it read only our state. And then finally, we also return our get all Pokemon over here. So we save that, we go over here and we import use Poke from /store/Pokemon. Oops, don't need that. And then over down here, we can use our, I kicked this one too many times. So we use our Pokemon state. So we just do const get all Pokemon, and then over here we also need to destructure our Pokemon list over here. So we do Pokemon list, and now we don't need our refs over here. Now we don't have any state that's getting managed inside the component. It's getting managed in another store. So we can actually remove this and remove this over here. Cool. Use Poke. Nice. and now we fetch all our Pokemon. So we need to call that function over here, and that populates our Pokemon list over here, and then we pass it to return where it's going to get you. So let's save this, see if it compiles successfully. It does. And there's like a little problem, but we're going to figure that out with what's going on over here. Oh yeah, this gotta be equals to 0, because if it's 0, then we need to make that fetch call. And then if we go back, we see all our Pokemon that are now getting pulled from the state instead. So that's really cool. So now if we go back to, let's go to our network tab and clear this. If we go back to our login and back over here, you notice now we're not making any more unnecessary API calls because we already have that data existing on our application. So that's really good. That's the way to like really be performant and efficient. You don't want to make you don't want to keep making API calls for every single time you're trying to fetch that data. You fetch it once, you can keep it with you. If it has the chance of it changing every 10 minutes, then you could put some kind of timer on it and then fetch it if it's stale. Okay, cool. So now we have all our Pokemon getting populated through the state. So now if we go back to our Pokemon table, let's actually change our button to router link over here, because we actually want to go to a different page now. So router link, and it's to it is 2 equals to we're gonna do the backticks just to say that it's JavaScript. So over here we go $index +1 over here, and we actually do need to bind this. We need to tell Vue that we're using our variables over here. So we do need to put the bind syntax. It's the same as saying vbind over here, but we're just gonna do the double colons because it's easier. And actually, let's just do ++ over here instead. Cool, so now we have that. So now it takes us to a route that passes this ID inside. So now let's define that route in our router over here. So go over here at the bottom, define another object. We say path is equal to /ID. And the component here is just one Pokemon. So we're just going to name this Pokemon component. And the name of this is Pokemon over here. Cool. We do need to actually import that Pokemon component or it's going to complain. We don't have that created yet, but let's just scaffold one together. Inside components, let's make a Pokemon.view. And inside here, let's... this is this div, this is your Pokemon. Cool. So now we have our new page over here. Save that. It says components Pokemon can't be found because I did name this incorrectly. It's Pokemon. And over here, I do need to name this Pokemon over here. So now we have that. Let's click this. And you do see that we're taking into our new Pokemon component, and we are passing the ID in the URL over here. And if we go check Bulbasaur, actually, this doesn't work. This just needs to be... Oh yeah, because it's already mutated over here, so I don't need to mutate it again. I'm mutating it twice. So if I save that, click that, now that's one. Let's go to ID 5, Charmeleon over here, which is, sorry, did I hit Oh, I need to, okay. And this is 1, this is 2. If I go back to Charmeleon, this is 5. Yeah, I just needed to refresh the page. Sometimes Hot Reload doesn't know exactly what to pick up. It just does its best to figure out what you want. So now within our Pokemon over here, let's create our setup function. And inside our setup function, we wanna grab the ID from the URL. So we just need to use our router again that we created. So import router from /router over here. And over up in our setup function, we can actually grab it. So we can do const params, and we want to extract the ID from that, and it is going to be equal to use route. Oh, sorry. So I still need to pick in router. Actually, no, I don't. I need to actually pull in vue-router over here. And then over inside that, I need to get use route. Cool. So now I'm grabbing the param and the ID from over here. I also need to access the state again. I need to make a new, new function called get Pokemon equals to that. And then over here, I'm going to check the state again. So state dot Pokemon map, and if the ID, so we're going to be passing also the ID for that Pokemon. So we're going to see if it exists. So if it doesn't exist, we want to make that API call. What is that API? I forget. Oh yeah, it's the same thing. We're just gonna append the ID at the very end. So then we go / ID, embed ID inside here. So cool. So now we have that. Make sure it's backticks over there, and then response. We just gotta put in our data over here. So state at ID is equal to data, and now we have access. Oh, this is actually Pokemon map over here. So state.Pokemon map of ID, we're storing that in, and we're only fetching it if that Pokemon for that map ID does not exist. This way we're not making unnecessary calls again. So let's save that. Get Pokemon is already assigned. Oh yeah, I'm getting, but never is assigned a value, but never used. Oh yeah, I need to pass it over here. So get Pokemon over here, save that. That should compile. Okay, so now we don't have to do anything else in here, so we can close that. Let's close all these unnecessary files over here. We don't need auth, we don't need router. Now we just got to work with inside our setup function. We do need to import our Pokemon, so use poke from /store/Pokemon. And over here we need to call it and destructure it. So const get Pokemon, and then we also need to get our Pokemon map from our use PokeState. Cool. So now we have that, and we have our ID over there. So all we need to do now is to pass our ID inside the function over here. So we pass that ID there, and that fetches our specific Pokemon. And at the very end, let me double check one thing. Yeah, accidentally removed the curly brackets. And at the very end, we need to return the Pokemon map along with our ID over here. So now the template has access to the Pokemon map, and now it can render that specific Pokemon. So over here, let's start building out this the HTML that's required. Okay, so this will need to be a class equals to container. I think that's very important. Container is very responsive. It makes it nicely sizes it inside the center and pads it on either end. And we're just going to do a div and then if we're going to check if that Pokemon exists before rendering, because there's going to be a space where the API call is being made and it's trying to load the data. So we're going to do if Pokemon map ID, which checks if it's undefined. And let's make this a class equals to card and text center over here, and then close the div. Oops. Yeah. And then over inside here, we're going to do stuff which is going to specifically be for showing the Pokemon. Okay, so we did our card, so now we got to make our card body. Class equals card body. And then inside our card body is where we want to render all the Pokemon. So we actually need a card header too for the Pokemon name. So div dot, I wonder if this works, card header. Oh, so close, header. Okay, I should probably do it that way. It's easier to write HTML. So card header is actually Pokemon map of I. Actually, it's ID, and then we're trying to get the name of the Pokemon over here. And inside the card body, we just want to populate an image so we know what the Pokemon looks like. So width is equal to 300, height is equal to 300, and then we're gonna bind the source to this because the it's gonna be relying on a variable. So let me get the URL. So this is the URL that we will need. Instead of Pokemon ID, we're going to be passing the ID over here, which we have passed down from our setup function. Why is div complaining over here? Does div look weird? Oh, this doesn't have a closing tag. Okay. So now we have our image getting populated. Let's put a break over here. And then down over here, we will have our moves. So we will have our H2 over here. And inside our H2, we're going to say moves for the specific Pokemon, just so we show some of the data that's coming out. And this will have a class of padding top is 5. And at the very end, below moves, we're going to print out the moves over here. And if you remember how there's going to be a list of moves, and we need to iterate through the moves that is in the object. So if you remember, the way to do that is actually v4. So we're going to do our padding, and then we're going to do v4 is equal to, let's do moves index in Pokemon map at ID, and then over here we're just going to bind a key is equal to index, and we're just going to close the p tag over here. And inside moves, we're just gonna access it. So the way the data is arranged is very weird. So we actually have to go inside moves twice. So we gotta do move.move.name over here, and that will print out all our moves that we need. Finally, just so we have a way to go back to the main page, let's create a footer over here. So div of class footer. The dash doesn't work. Class footer, and then card footer, and inside the card footer we just want to make a router link over here to help us go back to our main page. So over here we're just going to say go back, and this will have a couple classes so it looks more like a button. So btn primary over here. So save that. Some things might break. What does it say? Class. Oh, router link doesn't have a closing tag. Okay, so cool. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. I want to make another component because there Pokemons have types, and they have multiple types. And I can do a bunch of logic over here I want to display different pill based on the type and a different color. So I'm going to actually put all that logic in a different component. So I'm just going to make one right now called Pokemon type pill .view. This is going to be real quick, where I just make another view component, and then I'm trying to make my type over here. Pretty much it's a span, and then it's bound to a class is equal to, I'm just going to show you Vue's way of making class objects. So class object, and inside here I'm going to pass a prop called type, so I'm just going to print that over here, and then another span over here, another closing tag span. Cool. So now over here I'm just going to name the component. The component is going to be named Pokemon type pill, and then it's gonna have a setup function, and then I'm going to have my const class object is equal to a bunch of different class names that Bootstrap has. So Bootstrap has this thing called badge, BADG, and we'll always need this class. Another class we'll always need is badge pill over here. So this will also always be true. And then there's a bunch of badge success, and then this will be conditionally rendered if the prop dot type or props dot type is equal to water. So success is blue, and so is the color of the type water. Let's print this out a couple times because there's a couple of types. The second type we're going to be doing is this is primary. Success is green, so that's grass, and then after that will be danger, which will be the fire type. What else do we have? We have warning, which is yellow, and let's make that for poison. Another one is dark, which is obviously for the dark type, and then the light, which is used for the normal type. Cool. So now this just needs to be separated by commas over here. Cool. So now we have the class object. Now we just finally got to return class object over here. So now it's accessible inside this. Another thing is that props is passed inside our setup over here. So we gotta pass props. And another thing, like we seen in the hello.view, we need to, just for proper type checking, we have to say what the prop name is and then what's its type. So over here, we're just gonna say props, and then the type is string. Cool. And then comment this off and save this. And now inside our Pokemon, we can actually import this. So import Pokemon type pill from /Pokemon type pill, and we're gonna do our components over here, and it's gonna be our Pokemon type pill over here. So now we can use this Pokemon type pill inside this template over here. So we want to do it right below our image. So let's just drop it right after the break over here. And let's just do that. And all we have to do is pass in our type. And there's going to be multiple types for each Pokemon. A Pokemon could be on multiple types. So again, we can do v4 is equal to, where is it accessible from, for type in Pokemon map at id.types, and then we're just gonna bind a key, which is the index, but we don't have index kind of declared, so we'll just pass the index over here, and that should be fine over there. Cool. Now we finally just got to pass our type over here. We can bind it to the prop, and it's going to be equal to the same thing like with move. So it's going to be type.type.name. Cool. Save that, and let's see what we get. I'm not sure if this is going to work because we just did a lot of typing and no checking. So we're going to check Bulbasaur, click view more, and there's a few errors here. So read property move is undefined. So let's figure that out. Moves. Okay, this is it's going to be move. So let's save that, and then refresh this, and then read property name is undefined. name for P. Okay, let's see what we did wrong. Oh, we just found the Pokemon here. We actually need to go into its moves, and let's only grab our first few moves because there's going to be a lot of different moves that the Pokemon can know. So we'll slice the first 5 in the index. So that will be from 0 to 5 over here. Cool. And let's actually just put this inside an entire curly bracket, just so it's just more easily, just so it's well organized over